I know just before we came on live, we were talking about like the really hyperpolarization of this case. How you have just two extremes on both sides. You have like people that are ultimately in, the Kohberger camp. And again, I want to make sure that we understand this on the live today. Bryan Kohberger is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. He'll get his due date in court and go through the due process. On my podcast, what I believe is that the evidence is very strong against Kohberger. So we were talking about hyperpolarization. You have, people on this side that are just so extreme that, this guy is the guy, but then you have, people that are just so much in the camp that this is an innocent guy plucked from society, frame job, the authorities are involved. There's other people involved. Where do you think that comes from? Inside people, or I've just never really seen, this much attention on a particular case like this. So I'd love to hear what your opinion is on that.
Well, and in backstage, we talked about how Gabby Petito, I think, was one of, a huge instance of media draw, social media attention, much like Scott Peterson was.
Yeah.
But of course, we didn't have social media like we had then, or Susan Smith. I mean, some of these cases that they're jaw dropping in what was done in those cases. O.J. Simpson,
yeah.
John Benet Ramsey. I mean, we could go on and on. But the difference now, I think, is the true social media making such a difference. And I think I told you, I was talking to those in the media with the statistical numbers, and they said that Kohberger just far elevates above anything Gabby Petito in terms of social media and mainstream media attention. And that was really surprising to me. But what's more surprising is the polarization that you just mentioned. Of course, on Gabby Petito's case, nobody was polarized. Everybody said it was Brian Laundrie, even though there wasn't one probable cause affidavit for anyone to see. But then you look at Bryan Kohberger, and that probable cause affidavit is one of the best probable cause affidavits I've really ever seen written. I've written so many. Basically, what happens is when you're in law enforcement, and if you see a crime occur before you're allowed to arrest somebody, and then you have to go back and write a probable cause affidavit to support a criminal complaint, right? So that's outside of the indictment process or the information process. So when you write these, typically, you're just going to put in just a spattering of your facts, enough to get you over that probable cause hump. They went far beyond that in this affidavit, with all the information regarding the cell phones, regarding the videos, regarding the DNA, the sheath, the witness statement from Dylan Mortensen. It was, I call it probable cause plus.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been able to really, it's the bedrock of what we know here in the public, right? Other than the sources that have leaked information, this is the true bedrock. And I think the reason it became polarized, it was not polarized early, if you'll recall. Everybody kind of said, wow. I mean, everyone. Yep. No matter who it was, defense attorney, non-defense attorney, it's kind of like how people are reacting to the Rex Heuermann now. And I think we're going to see a change in that one too. But in terms of people saying, he's not guilty, there's nothing there. And I think that in a lot of instances, and I actually did a poll on this because I love polls. They let me know what people are really thinking.
Yep.
And the poll really was about 90% that it was either people who are just trying to make a name for themselves and start a podcast or step into the media ring, or they're just individuals. You can picture them with their Twix on one side and their Coke on another, just typing away with nothing else to do during their day, but sort of troll and put out really the unbelievable for attention, right? So I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think to give credit where it's due, I think some people are possibly genuinely concerned about due process, and that because so many believe the evidence is so strong that he'll be sort of convicted in the public sector. But I think that is so ridiculous because most people know little to nothing about this case, except for all of us, right?
Right.
Newsies, true crime people, we know this case inside and out.
Yeah.
But if you go, as an example, I got my hair cut today, and I was talking to some of the ladies. They said, really? When were they killed? There were 4 people killed. Where?
Yeah.
When do I need to know about this?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. If you go outside of our forum,
There's
very
nothing.
few people.
Yeah,
know
it's
much.
funny because I mention it to my colleagues at work, when I tell them about my podcast, and I'm like, I have this podcast and I'm covering this, and they're like, I've never even heard of that case. What are you talking about? It's crazy. It's crazy.